I request Architect Rukmani to deliver the inaugural address.
Thank you, Ophelia. First of all, Vanakkam. Vanakkam and good morning, everyone. And on behalf of ISOLA TNPI, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to this session. On the onset, I want to thank the audience for your continuous support to all our sessions in this forum. As you all know, this is our third event in the WLAM celebrations of ISOLA TNPI. Today's speaker is Dr. J. Godwin Emanuel, and it is great to have architect Godwin Emanuel as speaker for this session. I know him personally as he was my student as well. So architect Godwin is one of the rarest persons who actually lives by his principles. And I am personally very much looking forward to hear from him. So welcome Godwin, and thank you very much for agreeing to present your work. To give a very brief background about ISOLA and WLAM, ISOLA, that is Indian Society of Landscape Architecture, is the professional body of Indian landscape architects having a 700 plus membership across India. Established in 2003, ISOLA or ISOLA aims to provide excellence and higher standards of professional service in the domain of landscape architecture. We, part of ISOLA, Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry chapter, have been a very proactive and a progressive professional group, and we are actively engaging with all the issues concerning with outdoor spaces, environment, culture, and people. ISOLA TNPI chapter has been conducting many programs addressing all the above issues through web talks and other events in the past, and there have been around 40 programs conducted so far. Many of our members are recognized with awards and competitions and have won projects internationally and nationally. We are a good mix of practicing landscape architects, teaching academicians, and student landscape architect members. As architects and landscape architects, we have the core competencies of landscape architecture, environmental design, and master planning. We also engage with collaboration in ecological site assessment, sustainable design practices, ecotourism, and eco-restoration, as well as landscape infrastructure, landscape conservation, landscape urbanization, and landscape art. As we all know, development is inevitable, but at the same time, environment and ecology are very essential. And it is our objective as landscape architects and as experts in both architecture and landscape architecture, we play a beautiful role in balancing the built and the natural environment. Coming to WLAM, that is the month of April is celebrated worldwide as World Landscape Architecture Month. ISOLA TNPI chapter this year is celebrating this event across 4 cities over 4 weekends with the theme public spaces as an umbrella concept throughout the various events such as talks, walks, panel discussions, virtual exhibitions, competitions, and public interactions. The sub-themes of the 4 cities are Blue-Green for Coimbatore, coordinated by Architect Jaykumar and Architect Sushma, Culture for Madurai, coordinated by Architect Santana Ayyappa Sundararaj and Architect Lakshmi, Heritage for Trichy, which is what we are having today, coordinated by Architect Godwin and Architect Ophelia, and Urban for Chennai, which is coordinated by Architect Deepak and Architect Babji. Our objective through these celebrations has been to reach out to the public, highlighting the importance of public spaces and how well they could connect with context, culture, and communities, which is the overall theme of ISOLA TNPA chapter for this event also. So thank you everyone for joining in today, and you have a wonderful session plan. We have a wonderful session planned for you throughout the day, and please stay with us through this presentations. Thank you speakers today, that is Godwin, Architect Prasanna Desai, Dr. Narasimha Rao, and various all the organizers for being with us and making this event possible. I also would like to thank ISOLA India for coming up with this idea as well as being great, help with all the things. I thank my colleagues and committee members, office bearers, landscape architects and the 4 regional coordinators, student members, audiences, the sponsors, especially K-Lite and Besant Bitan, for all making this event possible. So thank you everyone, and please stay with us throughout the day because we have wonderful sessions planned for you. Over to you, Ophelia.
Thank you, ma'am, for the clear introduction about ISOLA, TNPY chapter, and WLAM 2021. We shall now screen the compilation of landscape architects' works as a virtual exhibition from the Tamil Nadu and Pondicherry chapter of ISOLA. Over to you, Idea. Idea, kindly check the audio.
Not hear the voice, ma'am. Just to check the audio.
Thank you, Vidya. As part of WLAM celebrations in Trichy, we began with two events of historic walks, learning as we walked through the streets of Trichy and Tanjavur, the Rockford streets and the moat around Tanjavur with their heritage landscapes was inspiring and took us back to the yesteryears to understand our regional landscapes in a historic perspective. Students and young architects participated in the walk. The walks were coordinated by architect Godwin and architect Ophelia and Trichy, and architect Idaya and architect Janaki in Tanjavur. We shall now screen the compilation of transect walks conducted at Trichrapalli and Tanjavur. Over to Idaya, please.
அவர் என்ன பண்ணாருன்னா he was in favor of அவர் வந்து செய்திருக்காரு அதுல இருந்து சைவ அப்ப என்ன பண்ணாருன்னா சைவ மதத்தை செய்தி அமைச்சிட்டு
being in Trichy doesn't mean one knows everything about it, especially when places like Trichy is rich in culture and heritage. There's so much layers of stories, history, and no matter how long we live there, we're only bound to learn new things. And initiatives like this just helps us to understand the heritage of a place even more. In general, all places has many layers of stories, from being it logical to being to pure beliefs that are multiple layers of information we often fail to look upon. And there lies the need of collective contribution between people who can talk about it and enlighten us about it. During the whole trip, we saw a movie while we walked the whole trip, from when the fort walls were erected to the way the settlements evolved, about how the streets of Malakotri temple have formed. The whole transit walk brought new information and almost the monastery scenes that exist when we go there, but no, those scenes have become a vault of heritage that is really important not only to know, but to make others appreciate and value at the same time, and transit walks like these can only help to spread it. We identified many structures that has gone in empathy and were filled with joy when we found out. We started from the fort wall and ended in Koil's Tepakulam, like how yatras come to an end. This whole trip was inspiring and an eye-opening session. We learned about Trichy a lot more than the years we were in Trichy. And thanks to these initiatives, it just brings us one step closer to our heritage.
This transit walk around the Rockford region has helped me in understanding the past of the place I am living. It has also helped me in understanding the evolution of a place and how there are many layers affecting its evolution. It has given me a deep insight on how we need to respect the past and we need to acknowledge the historic value of the place.
I thank the students and the participants for the transit walk and the coordinators for giving such a good experience for all of us. I now request landscape architect Idaya Karunamurthy to introduce the first presenter of the day, Dr. J. Godwin Emmanuel, followed by the presentation.
Good morning. Before I introduce our speaker of the day, please allow me to express my gratitude to ISOLA WLAM Tiruchirappalli Regional Coordinators and ISOLA Tamil Nadu Pondicherry Chapter for giving me the opportunity to work along in this WLAM 2021 events. With this note, I introduce Dr. J. Godwin Emmanuel, Landscape Architect, Principal and Professor at CARE School of Architecture, Tiruchirappalli. With an academical experience in organizations such as CARE School of Architecture, SRM University, Chennai, and Periyar Maniamma University, Tanjavur, he is well known for his unique traveling transit-based drawing approach, which is helpful for many to develop thinking skills and evolve site context-based design interventions. Besides this, he has a wide range of professional experience in architecture and landscape architecture. His experience at organizations include Ambi Valley City Private Limited, Sahara Groups, Lonavala, Oikos Landscape Architects Bangalore, Ravi Kumar and Associates Chennai. Dr. J. Godwin and Dr. Ophelia have their own consultancy services named under the banner The Divine Landscape Architects since 2009, under which they provide site planning and landscape architecture design services for many residential, institutional, recreational, and industrial projects. As Tiruchirappalli chapter leads the WLAM events under a heritage perspective, architect Godwin fits in well as he is much stronger in the knowledge management framework for cultural values in heritage conservation of Tiruchirappalli city, India, which was his research subject as well. Adding on to this, he lives in a serene coconut farm in the rural vicinity of Tiruchirappalli city in their eco-friendly home, once awarded at the state level also. So the Divine Home has featured in several online and offline magazines. So again, I welcome you, sir, to share your knowledge and request the audience to get the most out of this event. Thank you.
Okay. Am I audible, Vidya?
Yes, sir. Okay.
Thank you, Architect Rukmini ma'am. Thank you, Ilya and Ophelia, for conducting this event in a very engaging way so far. And respected Chairman sir and other office bearers of the ISOLA TNPY chapter, and other government officials from Trichy Corporation, professors and teachers from different institutes, students, and of course from Citizens for Vivekananda Forum, CFU members, and all my friends. A very good morning to all of you. On behalf of Trichy region, it is always my pleasure to welcome you also for this program. Okay, so let me quickly get on to the presentation. Idea, is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Let me use both the languages, both Tamil and English, so for the convenience of audience. So the topic for today's discussion, and I'm here to share my thoughts and some of my research work on this topic, the historic urban landscape of Tiruchirappalli city. So before I begin my presentation, so let me share a few of my own personal things, like where I live. This is a place where I live. This is a 2.5 acre farm where I live here for the past 12-13 years, and this is a remote place from Trichy city. And this is the place where I live. Yes, as ma'am was rightly told, I think, yes, I'm trying to address as many aspects and facets of life, attempting to balance between all these. So I know it's a struggle, still I'm trying to manage with all these facets of life, be it spiritual, societal, professional, academic, and research. I feel good about it, so let's see how things go. Yes, so coming to the aspect of discussion today, so I start with this question: is the heritage conservation in our Indian cities enough? So you may wonder, it's a landscape architecture session, but why someone is talking about heritage conservation? Is there a relation between landscape architecture and heritage conservation? Yes, so that is how the search is on. Okay, so in this entire presentation, we'll be looking at that relationship. So தமிழ்ல வந்து இன்றைய நமது இந்திய நகரங்களில் பாரம்பரிய பாதுகாப்பு போதுமானதா? So today there are a lot of people who look for conserving heritage, yes, there are many people, volunteers who come forward doing it. So the question is that really enough? And how do we protect it? To what extent we protect our heritage? And of course, how is it related to landscape architecture? How can a landscape architect, be relevant to, intervening anything to do with heritage conservation? Is that what we are going to look at it today, with the example of Trichy city? Yes, so a couple of slides are going to be some photographs which will just inform you, or those of you who are local Trichy, they'll be familiar with these photographs. Yes, for them who are not belonging to Trichy, so this is a place called Main Guard Gate. This is actually the gateway to the old town of Trichy. Okay, so what you're seeing is the gateway. So similarly, you have the other picture. So behind the bars, I would say, or behind the steel mesh, you find a beautiful temple tank, and then at the background you see a very nice this Rockfort, hillock, which is still the identity of the city of Tiruchirappalli. And of course, in between you see different buildings with historical buildings and modern buildings, all juxtaposition with each other. Okay, so you could see a variety of buildings, probably come up with different times of history. Yes, again, the NSP road in Trichy. So at the right corner extreme, you see the Main Guard Gate, where we see the same photograph we saw the first one. And then similarly, you have other historic buildings along the way, and look at the condition of those buildings as well. Yes, so we have other interesting building, which is a colonial building, where right now a cooperative society is running there, and they also have their shops there. And next to that historic building, you see, different other newer buildings, modern buildings. Actually, very few are aware. There is a mosque in between. Actually, in the photograph that you see, there is a modern building in the left, and then there is a colonial building on the right. In between, there is also an old mosque, which many of us are not looked into, because it is not really visible from outside. So such things are there, so many. So here also you can look at a very interesting palatial complex building, very old building, and of course next to the old building structure you have a old fort wall, but unfortunately you're not able to see it because of the complete bazaar activity happening there. This is one of the oldest picture. I won't say oldest, but at least 100 years old. This is a picture taken from Rockfort, on top of the Rockfort, and you get to see the whole overall view of Trichy city, where you see the church, St. Joseph Church, and there's a temple at the top, and then you also see the Main Guard Gate entry, the temple tank, and everything. And this was supposed to be the old town, and beyond that, rest of all, it's completely agricultural land, and that's what you see as an old picture here. And Tiruchirappalli today, the same scenario. Look at the transformation. I think one is able to really understand how much of transformation has happened with the mushrooming concrete jungle everywhere. Yes, of course, it is also important to look at all these cultural features are still intact. So look at the church here, look at the temple here, look at other religious features over here. All these are I'm very thankful to all the conservation authorities for keeping these structures intact, so which is a good sign. but we need to also look at the surrounding context. So that is what our presentation is all about today. Yes, of course. So the question lies again. So is there a landscape-based approach which can contribute to understanding heritage more better? I want to understand heritage not just as a single building alone or a group of buildings alone. So probably the heritage or the cultural value of that place is more powerful than a single building or a group of buildings. So probably we need to know. So only when I understand heritage in terms of its larger context. So let's say a historic building. Only if I understand that historic building in a more larger context, I think probably I would be able to know what are all the things that I need to conserve. So there may be buildings that I need to conserve. Sometimes not just buildings. Sometimes there may be open spaces, intangible aspects as well. So those things need to be conserved. It is important to heritage, wider perspective, and that is what the presentation is about. Question lies again: how does a landscape-based approach contribute to understanding heritage and conservation in the historic urban area of Tiruchirappalli city? So here we mean historic area is what we mean historic urban area refers to the historic town or historic core of Trichy city. Core is basically the old town. So this is when I started relook at the word landscape. So before I used to study landscape or before I do this research, so I have a tendency to understand landscape as we are green. Yes, of course, it is true. But only when I look at Stephenson's article and many other similar articles to understand what exactly is landscape all about, and that is when I see there are variety of disciplines. They discuss landscape in a variety of ways. So their perceptions are completely different. So you can look at that actually. Some disciplines in the sense some departments or some different specializations. So they talk about landscape in a much different way. Say for example, artists, they say landscape refers to beauty or aesthetics. Some people say no, landscape is all about vegetation. And to some it is landscape is all about being more natural, like natural landforms they talk about. And of course few people also say landscape is referring to historic features. Landscape is referring to archaeological features. So this is a very astonishing fact that I was looking at. So landscape has so many meanings. And this is when I was inspired to read some more about the historic urban landscape. So this is quite a interesting word, historic urban landscape. And UNESCO actually they defined this term, historic urban landscape, in 2011. In 2011, historic urban landscape is a word which was coined by the UNESCO, and they define it like this. And UNESCO is suggesting an approach to conservation, which is a landscape-based approach to conservation. And that increased my curiosity to understand more about historic urban landscape. So here I've written the definition of what UNESCO has given. The historic urban landscape is basically the urban area understood as a result of a historic layering of cultural and natural values and attributes, extending beyond the notion of historic center or ensemble to include the broader urban context and its geographical setting. This is where I was more curious. Okay? So here, this approach, historic urban landscape, is actually talking something more than heritage. So what is more than heritage? So it is actually talking about heritage in connection with, in association with the natural landscape nearby. So this particular picture, what you see, is one of the century-old picture of aerial picture of Trichy, where on the extreme top that you find is the Kaveri River, and then the entire agricultural lands. Then you have a settlement over here. This is basically the Chirapalli city. So I call here as a Chirapalli because originally it has a very interesting story behind how Chirapalli became Tiruchirappalli and all that. So we'll come to that a little later. So the idea is how to look at conservation from a landscape perspective. So here actually I'm talking about an interdisciplinary approach. How does a landscape architect look at conservation? So landscape architect, of course, he's very holistic in terms of understanding any context for that matter. So is it towards more holistic understanding of heritage, which is across time and across space? Not only across space, it is also across times of history. Yes. Yes, I could go through a number of literature based on the aspects of landscape, heritage conservation, and the history of different methodologies which are evolved in heritage conservation. There are so many aspects that one could study as part of the literature. So based on the literature, the research gaps, I'm just very briefly telling you about the basic points of my research. So one is there is a need for an interdisciplinary approach to conservation, because conservation, it actually calls for much more than what is required, what is actually being implemented. So one is it is looking for an interdisciplinary approach. The second one, it is looking for much more skill sets, so that it can be helpful for different decision makers. So decision makers here are the basically the conservation authorities and also the development authorities. So skill sets are required basically to tap the local knowledge. So if you look at the place like Trichy, and I'm sure very much similar to other places as well. So there are very much of local knowledge available. So local people know much about heritage. Local people know much about the history of the place because they are belonging to that place. They have a sense of belonging. So it is also important to hear the voice of local people, apart from getting information from experts. So I mean experts like historians, architects, and many other professionals. So sometimes there is a tendency to think only experts can do much better, but it is always not. So, because you have the local people who are more sensible to such heritage features. So probably the landscape approach could consider the local knowledge very effectively by introducing a few skill sets. So that is there. And then apart from that, yes, of course, if you look at heritage conservation, there are quite some methods available on how to assess a historic area. So there are quite some value assessment methods. But again, how much is actionable? How much of knowledge that is convertible in action? When I mean to say in action is like can you number so many buildings? Can you locate so many structures, so many aspects that can be protected? So such tangible conclusions, even now it is becoming very difficult. Yes, so that's a research gap there. And also if you look at the Indian scenario in particular, there are a lot more heritage structures to be listed. As rightly said by Shikha Jain in 2014, about 10,000 structures in India has been listed. And then still there are more to be protected. Still they are in the unprotected heritage status. So such are the research gaps identified from the different literature study. Yes, so this particular aspect of study, which is emphasizing on three aspects. One is the inclusive approach. So it tries to include as much of knowledge as possible from various sources. So let's say even the researcher by himself, and then experts like historians, and also the local community. So the idea is to bring all knowledge together, so that that particular knowledge of heritage will be very valid and useful to take some decisions. So there is an inclusive approach. And of course, there are rapid methods. See, yes, it is always difficult to identify which is heritage and which is not. But yes, of course, there are rapid methods required. Where you need to conduct that method and then identify where the heritage features are and know how to protect it and all that. So there are different methods that one needs to look at, be it desk studies or sometimes field-based studies. Yes, of course, landscape-based models help in understanding heritage in a much more larger context. So this is the research design that the study was looking for. Yes, so I come to the study area. So we are going to discuss about the Tiruchirappalli city, the location, and Trichy, as you can see in the map, it is located in the southern bank of the river Kaveri. And if you look at the map again, the Kaveri and Kollidam, there are two rivers which are bifurcated at the west end of the Trichy city. And then further, if you move on in the east, where you find the two rivers merge together, and then that's where the Grand Anicut, the 2,000-year-old Grand Anicut, is located. And so between the two rivers, Kaveri and Kollidam, that's where you find the Srirangam, the historic island. Okay, so our study area is in the heart of the Trichy city. It is the old town of Trichy city, basically around the rock fort of Trichy. And on the right side map, you look at, there are three black dots, basically tells you the protected heritage monuments. So these are the three protected heritage monuments. One is the old gateway that we saw in the previous photograph, and then the Rockfort cave temples. There are two cave temples. One is at the lower level, other one is at the upper level. So these three structures are currently protected heritage monuments in this part of the city. And of course, there is a legal regulation as well. Yes, so we are looking at the study area from the Rockfort again. So you can imagine the conditions around. The map on the right is trying to locate you where exactly you are looking at the photograph. Yes, so I'm here to just show you some of the comparative understanding between the past and the present. So based on the historical photographs, so the one is trying to compare and contrast how things have changed. Just merely the visual quality of the photographs, the scenery. So if you look at the picture on the top, that has at least a century-old photograph, which is actually tell you the different scenario there. You can compare it. Actually, you can see a colonial building, which is on the top, which is similar there in the present situation also. And then there are sacred groves which are still retained, and then There is a residential bungalow what you see there at the top, but now you see something different. It's a huge commercial complex. I think it is very obvious. No, the residential zone is becoming commercial is very much obvious. So that's what we are seeing here. And similarly, on the right side picture where you have a colonial building, now we can remember this building from the previous photographs. One of the photographs which I showed you, where government cooperative society is running a shop there. So look at the condition 100 years before versus today. So all these are trying to understand why things are changing like this. So it is not to say that old is glorious. No, but things are changing. That is what one tries to understand. Also, you can look at the other similar photographs of Big Bazaar Street 100 years before versus in today's condition. And also the other photograph which we saw earlier, the palatial complex, and then the fort wall in front, and you can imagine the present condition. And you can also see the absence of the second floor itself. So it vanished in the history sometime before. So similar other pictures where you have you can look at the hillock view, which is almost retained. The hillock view is retained between the past and the present, but the development is such that you can't really make out what things happening where. Yes, I'm also here to show you a list of other historical photographs. The picture on the left, what you see is the river Kaveri, and then the earlier water transport that used to happen, and then the Padithurai, the ghats that you see. So quite an interesting painting as well. And on the right that you see is the partly demolished fort wall. Right now, if you look at, if you go there, you would see a tall commercial complex. Right now, it is even difficult to view this angle of Rock Fort itself because there is no fort wall. Yeah, and based on information received from historians. So here actually I must tell you the different methods that I have incorporated to understand heritage in the landscape perspective. So one was the personal observation, like transit walks, the number of transit walks across different streets of the urban area. And then similarly, historian interviews. So I had the opportunity to meet 3 historians who are quite passionate in learning more and more, and they informed me with a lot of insights, particularly the history of Trichy. And based on that, I have come with some tentative idea on chronological evolution of different events that have happened in the history of Trichy. The history of Trichy, what we're talking about, is at least 2,000 years old. So Trichy is much more than that. So Trichy is being spoken about in the ancient literature, Sangam literature, 2,000 years before. Yes. So you can also see in this chronological evolution, how are the natural landscapes existing in the previous era of classical ages, and then how things have transformed, how different monarchies came into picture, right from early Cholas to later Cholas, in between Pandyas, Pallavas, and Mughal rulers. There are so many dynasties. They were involved in the capturing of the city and then ruling of it. And then of late, just before the British era, you have Nayaks who came all the way from Madurai to capture this place, and then they started fortifying this place. This the Nayaks, their contribution is very tremendous to the city of Tiruchirappalli. They were the ones who built the fort wall around. We are going to look at the fort picture as well. And they also built a moat around it. So there's a fort wall, there is a moat, and then they also patronized a lot of other religions as well. They also encouraged missionaries to come and propagate their religion, and they also encourage all other religions to live in peace and harmony. There are quite some things that they also drawn water from river Kaveri and manage the water for the entire city. So many things that the Nayaks could do. And see is the British arrival of the British, and they the French and the Trichy city. They were the ones who demolished these fort walls, based on the European town planning system. So they felt the city was too congested, and the city was very, not airy. They said many reasons, and they literally took 8 years to demolish this fort wall in the years between, if I'm right, it is 1865 to 1873. So almost 8 years they took, and they also filled the moat with the the debris of the fort wall. And right now, what you don't see a fort wall at all, and you don't see moat also. And on top of the moat, what you see today is the Boulevard Road. Boulevard Road is the concept of European town planning, where Europeans, they want to have a scenic driveway to enjoy the beautiful surroundings of the landscape. And that is how the concept of boulevards came into picture. And that's how you see today the West Boulevard Road, East Boulevard Road. So those of you who are from Trichy, you will be familiar with that. So Boulevard Roads, the name indicates the location of the existence of fort walls there. So such things are there. And then later, after the independence, that's when you see the bazaars coming up, transport hubs coming up, and then various wholesale shops, retail shops. And now in the later stages, in the recent years, you find a lot of big box stores. So I call big box stores because they are large retailers. So they try to grab smaller plots and show them big. Such things are there, and eventually the entire area is going to become like that in the later stages. Yes, so we are also looking at some of the old pictures, old maps of Trichy city during the 1750s. This is all hand-drawn as part of the British archives. Yes, so this is a very interesting thinking process where one is trying to compare and contrast the present scenario with the past scenario. So this is the map, old map on the left side. What you see is the fort wall, and this is the whole Tiruchirappalli town. So you see the Rockford, you see the Agraharam around, you see the temple tank, and the 4 gateways as well. South Gate, West Gate, East Gate, and North Gate. And then importantly, you see the fort wall and the moat. And you can also see boats which are happening, the palace complex. So such things, they existed in the year 1753. So now you can also look at, I was trying to locate all these features in the present day Google map. Yes, some of them are quite evident, some of them are really not. Yes, so far, so we have been discussing a number of methods, with which one is trying to understand heritage. So we come across different methods like the historian interviews and interpreting the maps, old maps, and then interpreting the historical photographs, interpreting the other information. So I call that as REAP methodology, which is a rapid ethnographic assessment procedure methodology. So where we use almost about 9 to 10 methods, rapid methods, to understand heritage and its locations. So here I'm also going to elaborate a little on another method to sort of understanding heritage, which is a travel-based drawing process. So you can see students drawing here, of course, along a train journey. These are some of the historic sites that is around the historic town of Trichy. So one on the top is Mahamagam Kumbakonam, and one in the bottom left, which is Thirumayam Fort near Pudukottai, and one on the right, which is Chittanavasal Rocket Cave, which is Jain Caves, which is there in Chittanavasal near Pudukottai. So we had a very casual trip to such places, and yes, of course, the idea was to understand, how nature and culture is interrelated. So this is, we thought, being a landscape architect, could this be one of the way to understand the relationships? So all these sketches are drawn along the travel and trying to understand the relationship. So these drawings are not meant to impress upon, or not meant to make it beautiful, but the idea is to express the thinking process, basically the thinking process. So how am I really thinking about it? Yes, actually these are not part of the Trichy area, but I'm just trying to show you sample images where I have drawn in other places, just to understand the relationships. When you are in travel, so you'll be able to do that. Yes, again, I'm just looking at such kind of drawings, whether this kind of process, travel-based drawing process, help one to understand the importance of not just buildings, but the context around it, not just a historical feature, but the context around it. So this is another time-taking sketch, which actually it took about 1.5 hours to work on this. But again, standing the whole 2 hours of time there and getting done this is an interesting experience. So I'm just trying to move away from Trichy now and trying to show you the importance of drawing as a medium of thinking process. So will that really help in understanding heritage better? Yes, so now we come back to the Trichy study area, and I'm thankful to some of my students who have done this work. And all these are, I told them, you don't have to do a very neat sketch. You don't have to make a complete, beautiful looking sketch. But then all you have to do is understand what things happening where, and particularly the historic aspects, you can note it down. So such simple instructions were given. I think they were able to understand it a little better. Yes, so these drawings, I'm sure they look a little ugly, but they explain the thinking process, and which is what is required when you want to understand heritage. Yes, some of the drawings from the Big Bazaar Street. When somebody is on a walk along this Big Bazaar Street and trying to capture different features along the way, and also trying to list out some of the historic features. Okay, so probably this travel-based drawing process has really helped in at least listing the historic features along the way. So probably one can get on to a little more detail, let's say architectural documentation as a further step. So I would say this cannot be architectural documentation, but this can be a prelude to architectural documentation. So where one is trying to locate the heritage features around, and once you fix on it, then you can go and do a detailed study at the later years. Yes, so I think we have looked at different methods of understanding and thinking about heritage. So of course, so right now the present day protection measures are very much valid. So if you look at the historic urban area of Trichy, right now, as I said earlier, there are 2 heritage structures which have been protected. But if you have a walk around, if you use all these methods of study to understand heritage, one would notice that there are quite some heritage structures available there, unprotected. And yes, I could not present it in this presentation, but almost about 600 plus heritage structures we could able to identify within that study area itself. So by using these 9 to 10 methods, in fact, we have involved varied people, right from researcher and right from also the experts and local people, focus groups, students. So all of them were involved in collecting the data and coding it, organizing it, expressing it in right terms, and also validating it. So the entire process of this knowledge gathering was very interesting. Of course, the study recognizes the present protection measures of several heritage monuments. Actually, it emphasizes on a holistic understanding. So you could have noticed, so most of the findings are based on a holistic understanding, or it can provide a holistic understanding rather than know about a particular heritage monument. This kind of methods can be about the spatial connections also, context, surrounding context also. So which means that one needs to look at not just the building to be conserved, but also the context to be conserved. And that is when the holistic understanding comes into picture. And this is why this study examines information from several people, right from the researcher, historians, architecture students, and the local community. And yes, the study methodology has of course included memos, diagramming techniques to understand and analyze the data across the study. As I said earlier, the study has used the interdisciplinary approach to come out with a knowledge management framework. See, when we say knowledge management, so we collect knowledge from different sources, and I forgot to say the different types of knowledge as well. So knowledge doesn't mean that only buildings, but knowledge doesn't mean only tangible. So there are knowledge which is intangible. There are I would say 3 types of knowledge. One is the tangible knowledge, and the intangible knowledge, and embedded knowledge. Or in other words, it is explicit, implicit, and embedded. So all these knowledge types, if one is able to, I'm sure it is going to help conservation authorities, to a larger extent in not just conserving few buildings, but also looking at the larger picture in mind. And yes, so of course it can also help you in listing heritage. So these methods can help you, how much ever buildings that you need to conserve, so it can inform you about it. And of course, this study has not used any data science based or software tools for this research. Probably in the future research, one can really look at in digitizing the whole process. Yes, and so this applications of these methods and the overall study could be a prelude to do a detailed documentation and of course integrated heritage management. And the recently the government of India have announced this Niti Aayog 2020 document, which has clear and concise instructions about heritage management. And they also talk about heritage listing. In fact, the INTAC is currently doing that. So I'm just suggesting whether these process of knowledge management can help to list the heritage structures. And also the concept of historic urban landscape, which we discussed earlier presentation. So this approach, actually, if you look at in Indian scenario of conservation, we still talk about materialistic approach. Materialistic approach in the sense we would like to conserve buildings, heritage buildings. Yes, but what happens around the building? Whether it is merging well with the surroundings, whether it is really contributing to enhancing the value of the place, that is in question. So, but this historic urban landscape approach is a wider thinking, which is still at the conceptual level, particularly in India. So I would say that in India it is still at the conceptual or methodological level. So probably understanding heritage like this, or understanding historic urban landscapes, they can help in implementing to the next level of heritage conservation. Yes, so this study also recommends a few things. One is the
Actually,
sorry, yeah. One is the historical thinking skills. So I would say more than drawing skills, more than knowing history, it is important to think about it. Constantly think about it. I think this thinking skill is very much required. Where you can try to understand the past and the present, interpret the past versus the present, and you can use all the primary resources, let's say the maps and photographs and whatever archival information is available to you. So let us look for that and let us interpret that and see opportunities, think about history and see where you can conserve and how. So such things are possible. And also analytical thinking. So here also I'm thinking, I'm talking about the thinking skill again. So as a landscape architect, yes, we can think through drawings. So it is important to think through drawings, and that is when here we talk about the thinking of history. So the historical thinking through drawings can get on to some more understanding of the larger context, which might help the authorities of conservation as well as the authorities of development, to come up with interesting discussions. So in the Indian urban context, actually, there are regulations, there are bylaws existing. For example, the special area plans and the land use plans, all those things are there. But the whole intention is not to just conserve, or restore a few buildings and then, as an isolated entity. But it is important to conserve them with the context. So how does one do that? Yes, we need to know where things are there. We need to know where are all the places where you have these historical features existing, and what are their interrelationships? How are they connected to each other since the past? So all those relationships also to be understood, and that is when one can look at conservation in a much more larger context. Yes, the current declaration of the protected and restricted areas around heritage precincts. So now they say 300, 300 around 300 meters. 300 meters around the protected heritage. So there is a restriction in the building height also and other features. But it is hardly being implemented, particularly in the city of Trichy. So I'm suggesting some effective measures, to happen to implement the existing declarations, and also I'm suggesting a formation of a cultural knowledge center. See, this is where a lot of academic institutions can contribute to the development authorities. So the academic institutions and like-minded knowledge forums, they can join hands together, and they can do as many rapid methods as possible, and collect and prepare the database of listed heritage, and this would be really helpful for the decision makers to take a decision further on what to conserve and how much to conserve. So I think these ideas would eventually lead to a sustainable development in the later stages. Yes, so of course in the whole presentation we have been discussing about how this heritage conservation is very much associated with the knowledge of landscape. So if one is able to understand landscape in a much better way, so there is a holistic thinking which comes into picture. So this holistic thinking can help one to understand heritage better, and that is when the concept of historic urban landscape comes into picture. Yes, so far we have been discussing about the Trichy and how the history of Trichy has happened, how one can understand the history of Trichy from various methods, using experts, using students of architecture, using local people, different methods, so different ways of gathering data about heritage, and then finally, which will help in further documentation and further processes of conservation and management. Yes. So thank you all for this opportunity. Thank you everyone once again.
Thank you, sir, for the insights on the antiquity of Tiruchirappalli and awakening us on the possibilities of preserving our historic urban landscapes. We now have a short sponsors presentation before the Q&A session. The audience are requested to text their questions to the speaker and comments in the chat box. Over to Idea for the sponsors presentation.
It's great, it's amazing. I just saw the lights on the bridge, they're really nice.
ஆக்சுவலி வீட்டில் வந்துருச்சு என்ன பார்த்துட்டோம். ஒரு சின்ன கிளாரிபிகேஷன் என்னன்னா சார், நமக்கு மெட்டீரியல் நம்ம போட்டு வரதுக்கு முன்னாடி
We thank the sponsors. And moving on to the Q&A session, we have good appreciations from Dr. Shivamani Subbaratnam. He says, happy to see presentation with both languages, sir. And Arasan Anandam on amazing drawings on nature-culture relationships, Godwin, sir. And also wonderful drawings. There is a question. I'd like the speaker to respond to it. Have you been able to make some inferences about the older and pre-colonial history and what might have been there? What were you able to think or conclude?
So please, can you come again?
Yeah, there's a question. It says, have you been able to make some inferences about the older and pre-colonial history and what might have been there? Were you able to think or conclude about older or pre-colonial history and whether it can be related to what we see or experience today? So the question is on the inferences. Yeah.
Yes, of course. I think one was able to understand from the literature. Of course, there's not much drawing evidences, or there were not much tangible aspects of proof that one is looking at, because all these documentations they happened during the colonial times only. So these British archives, what you see, those historical maps, they were prepared only after the colonial people came. So before that, there were no maps. But then, based on the literature, the ancient poetries and Tamil literature, particularly during the Sangam period, it elaborately describes about various aspects. Also the natural heritage as well as the cultural heritage point of view. So particularly they talk about river Kaveri, and Kaveri in association with the old capital of the then settlement Urayur. And then because those times Sirapalli was not there, so it was Urayur used to be the earlier capital, the early Chola dynasty. So all those informations are there as part of ancient text. Beyond that, there were no other evident records. So only when British came in, we have the documentation aspects. They could survey it and map it, and so that's when one can understand it. I hope I answered the question.
Yes, thank you, sir. The next question by architect Rukmani. So, great presentation, Godwin. While monuments architecture can be clearly perceived as heritage, the value of natural heritage is not seen as clearly. Can you discuss on the reasons for this?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, in the evening presentation, so we are going to discuss a little more on the natural heritage. Yes, actually, my presentation was focused more on the cultural heritage in connection with the natural heritage. But if you look at heritage features like Uyakondan Canal, so this Uyakondan Canal has a 1,000-year-old history. 1,000 years before, a Chola king, he developed this canal completely, and he could vision in such a way that it connected almost about almost 10,000 lakes across the entire length of place, and then 10,000 acres of land, and then you have different water features connected with that. So there was this sense of water management, which was very much prevalent and very much prevailing there. But now, the water is not considered as heritage. So, in fact, if you look at canal again, the water edges are being exploited. And in the course of urbanization, so one is looking at these natural resources are not to be treated as heritage, but to be used as a functional resource. So because of this thinking, so we are looking at heritage in the cultural aspect, but yes, of course, we should also look at in the natural point of view as well.
The next question by architect Pavitra. Thank you, sir. As an urban designer, I have learned the importance of these on-site sketches and open thinking towards the city with a new perspective. Thank you for spreading knowledge and techniques to make better interventions. It's a comment. A question by architect Deepu D. Lakshmi. Is there any report like soil test, rainfall, water contamination report like that for the good landscape project?
I'm sure, but I have not done it for this project. So probably very specific landscape architecture projects. Yes, I have some information. Yes, of course, these informations help us a little more. But this presentation is focusing more on understanding heritage, be natural and cultural.
Yeah, architect Kumareshwari says it's an insightful presentation of Trichy heritage structures and landscapes, and it was a wonderful presentation, compilation of transect works of Trichy and Tanjore. And a question from architect Jay Shankar. What can be the role of landscape in regional planning level in the context for the future 20 years?
Yeah, this is a very difficult question as well. Yes, of course, this landscape approach is for the future only, because if you look at the Indian context of heritage conservation, we are yet to list many heritage buildings. So we are talking about buildings. We are not even talking about precincts or districts or landscape. Landscape is much broader term. So it is very difficult, or I would say there are challenges, to implement this landscape approach. But of course, nothing can be a challenge to understand it. So if you want to understand heritage, so the entire presentation is actually trying to tell you about the intention of listing heritage. Why would someone or how would someone list a heritage? So if they want to do listing of heritage, can they think in this manner? So if they have this kind of a thinking, so probably a holistic understanding will develop. If a holistic understanding would develop, that would lead someone to take some decisions which are on a larger context. So that is what one is trying to provoke. So I'm sure this presentation or this idea could be of help to decision makers to come up with contextual thinking. So probably later we can think about it.
There's one more question. Do throw some light on the heritage conservation policies and practices which act as a protecting element for the Trichy heritage scapes presently, and whether community participation and engagement played a role in this conservation measures. So the question is on conservation policies and practices and community participation.
Yes, to talk about conservation policies, right now, as we discussed in the presentation, there were 3 monuments which are currently protected in the study area. So one is the main guard gate, and the other 2 are the rock cut caves. And the archaeological office, ASI, is also sitting there, right there. Actually, the thing is, if you look at conservation, and right now they have this rule, Archaeological Act, which says, around that protected monument, 300 meters are to be in a restricted zone where buildings have to be restricted to a certain height and with certain regulations. Yes, that is there, but right now you could see it is being less followed. Because if you look at the photographs, you'll be able to understand how the mushrooming developments have happened. Particularly, some of those large retailers, they started occupying smaller retail shops there, and then we are in the near future. Sometimes we really can't see the skyline of the Rockford itself. So such things are possible in the near future. I think we need to really enforce these laws to make it happen. And also talking about the community participation, as of now, there are a few local people over there, the residents association, welfare associations, and things like that. So they come up with some protests, sometimes agitations on their land being occupied by the commercial people, and there are a lot of mishandling of things. So issues like that are happening, but as a participation, there are a few volunteer groups locally, historians and other interested photographers. So they join hands together, and then they've slowly started engaging themselves to really understand the significance of heritage there, and trying to conserve it as a next stage possibly.
Yeah, Architect Deepu is also asking if there is any statutory body approval that we will need for such type of practices.
Yes, we have the statutory body here, the ASI. ASI is the only statutory body being here. So we have to discuss with them, and then we need their approval as well.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful responses. We thank the audience for their participation in the forenoon session. The next session with the keynote speaker, Architect Prasanna Desai and Dr. Narasimha Rao, followed by Mr. Ranjan from CFU, Citizens for Oyekondan, shall begin by 2:45 p.m. We request your presence for the afternoon session. Thank you, one and all.